It's Monday, June 18th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central, show number 774, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Save 25% on a one-year fourth-generation hosting account by using the promo code NAB. New customers get 3 months of hosting at economy pricing at $199 by using the promo code 199geek. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Hey, folks, you know what comes next? Got a lot to share with you. I had a very, very busy Father's Day weekend. You know what comes next? Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Honolulu. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran, and we're here in the slightly remodeled Geek News Central studio, although you can't tell directly. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes, but I want to give a warm welcome to all of the Ohana, all of you that are longtime listeners of the show. Thanks for being here and being part of the family. Of course, those of you checking out the show for the very first time, Ohana means family, and here in Hawaii, and want, of course, to welcome you to the show. If you get some time, please get over to our website and definitely check out all the great content on it. And, of course, I didn't have this queued up tonight. I keep doing that from time to time. But definitely go over to GNC, check us out, and get subscribed to the show. It's real easy to do. You'll find a place there where the RSS feed, Zune Marketplace, iTunes, where you can subscribe to the show. And, of course, get signed up for our newsletter. The newsletter will contain everything that I'm going to cover during the show. Be emailed to you directly following the show. That way you'll know that everything is online and available for you to listen and follow along with. Of course, all the links to all of the articles will be in that. Of course, we carry all of our show's show notes at gncshownotes.com. So definitely check out gncshownotes.com as well. But again, welcome to Geek News Central. Again, it's my pleasure to bring you the show. As always, you can reach me on Twitter at Geek News. That's a really fast way to do that. Of course, you can email me here, geeknews@gmail.com, or you can call us on the hotline 24 hours a day at 619-342-7365. We appreciate your commentary and feedback on the show. It is greatly appreciated. Well, I tell you what, I've had a fantastic couple of days here in Honolulu. Did something remarkable at the studio, and a lot of it's possibly because of our sponsors of the show. Of course, I want to take a moment here, and we want to give a warm welcome to GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at GNC. And part of the intro I screwed up tonight, that $1.99 per month economy hosting for 3 months is available. You can definitely check it out over at GoDaddy.com. And, of course, we've got that 25% on web hosting available as well. And, one thing for sure is I've got all kinds of codes for you to use. And to find that, it's real simple. All you got to do is geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And, all the codes to all the promotions that we have that are continuously running are on the main page. Geek 5 will save you 15% on any order $20 or more. You can use Todd to save 10% on non-domain orders. ComSale will get you .coms at $7.99. ComSale 3 will get you $8.49 .com renewals. Aloha is a popular one right now. We'll save you $20 on any order $75 or more. If you don't make it to that point, you can use the code CENTRAL to get $10 off any orders $50 or more. So we want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at Geek News Central. Of course, make sure to go over geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy to get your promo code to save yourself a lot of cash. Hey, I tell you, one thing real quick here, unexpected travel. I kind of talked about on the last show as it was possibly coming up, but I am going to be heading to Texas this coming Saturday. So there's going to be 2 on-the-road shows with the new high-definition mobile broadcast studio. We're going to be in one location for 2 shows. So that's going to make it nice to be able to kind of get settled in and see how the system will work. We'll travel with the green screen and everything goes right, we'll have a green screen show out of Texas. Our first one with the new studio should be a lot of fun. And this time I will remember to hit record when we start the show. And matter of fact, I've made on the one laptop that I'm going to be using, I've made some big sticker on it that says "Hit record, dummy," and so we'll remember to hit record when we do our next on the road show. But be in Texas, and here it's getting hot. So not necessarily looking forward to the heat, but got to go there and do a little consulting. So it's going to be great to be in the great state of Texas again. And yeah, unexpected. Really had hoped to be home all the way through the 4th of July, but be home at the end of the week. And then we'll come back and have the 4th of July week show, of course. Hey, we had a studio deep clean here on Saturday, or at least I did. I did a studio deep clean, and at the same time, we mounted the studio lights. And I don't know if I can actually show this for those of you that are listening. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the side webcam that actually has a it's a point tilt zoom. See if I can actually move this and show you guys. But now, actually, no, we got to go this way. Now, only thing that's there are the cameras, and then the lights. Let's see if I can show you the lights now. The lights are mounted very nicely above the studio, and so I put these in on Saturday. So my wife had to laugh because she's like, these. It looks like you've got a water main running through the studio here. I kind of had to laugh because what I had done is I had went to Home Depot Friday night and picked up 3/4 inch pipe. I basically bought the elbows and everything that I was going to need, and got them all cleaned up and used unadulterated alcohol and got all the grease off them and then painted them up. And then what I used to mount them to the ceiling are some people use water pipe for basically stairwells or where they're going to use and put a handhold on. And basically you can buy these, I guess for a better word, bases that screw into the pipe, and then you use lag nuts. And so what we've got it secured with lag nuts into the main stud above. The lights are a little bit back further than where they were before. These particular lights are the ones we used at CES. They're really super strong, and I've got them cranked down. They have like a temperature setting. You can set the temperature in them. So I've got them set to 5,700 on the lighting scale, but there's a dimmer on these that go from 0 to 100, and most of the lights are turned all the way down to like 6 and 4, and then the fill light is like maybe 15. So there's more light in the studio than I actually need, and I'll be tweaking a little bit. But one thing these lights didn't have is like what I call diffusers or gels. So I was online today trying to find some gels for these lights because we need to gel them, because you can see on the top of my forehead this big glare. And without the gels, the glare is going to be there shining off my shiny forehead. So we'll get some gels in here in the next week and get these things gelled down and get the temperature, basically get the mood set the way I want it set. But it's a lot nicer. It's a lot cleaner in front of the camera stand here. Now it's nice. I don't have to deal with the extra stands and everything. My wife's happy about it. So pretty cool stuff. All right, one thing we've also done is I'm playing with Adobe After Effects, and I don't know how many of you have used Adobe After Effects, but I'm clueless. I bought these great templates from Digital Juice at digitaljuice.com, and I'll be honest with you, these things are slick. They're nice. I found the pack that I wanted, some intros, some messing with this stuff. Did any of you have After Effects skills? If you do, email me here at the show. I'm looking to hire someone to do some editing for me. And basically, I got these templates all built. All I got to do is kind of throw some graphics in and some video clips. It shouldn't be, more than a couple of hours work for someone that knows how to use After Effects. So if you're an After Effects expert, email me ASAP here at geeknews@gmail.com, and love to have you help me out if possible. I'd be happy to pay for your time, of course, to do the job, or jobs, basically what I want done. And if nothing else, maybe school me over the phone a little bit on it, because these things just got to be easy to edit. I just don't know where to find put the replacement images and so forth. So anyway, that's kind of what's I've got going here. What else? Produced a new a version of the Chrome Show, so that's available on the street. Put that out last night. Gadget Professor was in late with his show, so that's available. Robot Underpants, all the shows are up to date. Saturday Morning Tech, we had a kind of a back in the saddle type of a show. I had a good discussion with Rob Greenlee and Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine. So lots of stuff going on there as well. So we want to thank all the folks that are helping out with this show. Of course, Gadget Professor Don Bain out in Phoenix. Of course, Langley for the Gadget Professor in San Francisco. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on the shows on the site and which ones you're watching and what you think of the content. The feedback is definitely appreciated here at Geek News Central. I was fooling around with Jeffrey when he came on the show. They said, Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine. He's like, hey, can I record that? And I was like, yeah, I guess. So anyway, just having a little bit of fun, trying to relax and lighten the mood up here just a little itty bitty bit. All right, lots of tech to talk about tonight. And before we do so, I want to go ahead and take care of a sponsor message here. And I want to thank, of course, a sponsor. You know, summer is here, at least here in Hawaii. Trade winds are back. It's been absolutely, matter of fact, last night they had a wind warning. We had like winds from 35 to 50 miles an hour. It's kind of crazy. Where it come from, I don't know. But, you know, summer's here. It's nice and warm and beautiful. And, you know, I heard some of you had temperatures in the hundreds today. So that's pretty insane. But many of us are going to be spending more time working from home or while traveling or at the beach or in between and so forth. So, you know, getting your team together for a meeting may be an impossible task, but it's not really an issue if you have GoToMeeting with HD Faces by Citric. GoToMeeting lets you host meetings really with clients and colleagues face-to-face, all while online, no matter where they are or you are. And with HD Faces, you just need a webcam to turn your online meetings into a group HD video conference. Attendees can join from a computer, iPad, iPhone, or Android, or by downloading the free app. And you know, it's real easy. You know, I've got my iPad here. I was out and about and did this meeting last week, sitting in my car with basically the iPad propped up on the driver's edge. And it was, you know, it was a piece of cake for the in order to do that, and camera on it and everything. It worked out fantastic. But here's the deal: all you got to do is go to meeting.com. Go to meeting.com and click on the Try It Free button and use the promo code podcast. Then download the app to get that free 30-day trial. So here's one more thing I want you to try. GoToMeeting's giving away 8 new iPads on Facebook. All you have to do is visit Facebook and like the GoToMeeting page. Then you can enter to win a new iPad, and you can refer a friend if they win the iPad. So do you as well. So that's pretty cool. Check it out. Like the GoToMeeting on Facebook. You can end up using it on a new iPad. And I hope you win. And don't forget, try GoToMeeting free today. Again, all you got to do is let's go over to this page here. Go over to GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code podcast. We want to thank the folks at GoDaddy and GoToMeeting for being sponsors here at the show, and we hope that you'll definitely try their products out. Okay, got a lot of stuff in the stack for you today, and let me make sure I get everything in my list covered here. Let's change out to ADE, Chrome Show. Yes, everything is good. I think we're ready to save that and close it. Well, big news today, of course, was the announcement from Microsoft about their new Surface tablet. And, you know, this is pretty exciting stuff because, you know, Microsoft has been in the hardware business. They've done Xbox and a variety of other products in the past. And, you know, we were kind of trying to figure out what Microsoft was going to announce. And, you know, there was a lot of speculation, but they announced, of course, the Surface. And, you know, Steve Ballmer, for, you know, that guy, I'm sorry, they really need a better person to do these product introductions. But he came out and did this monologue and introduced this new tablet. And, you know, I like what they put on their About page. It says, from touch to type, office to living room, from your screen to the big screen, you can see more, share more, and do more with Surface. Great, collaborate, and get stuff done with Office. Explore your world with fast and fluid Windows 8 apps. Discover new music, movies, and games. and the Windows Store. They had a great video about it. I'm not going to play the video here because it's going to, basically bust the copyright on the show. But this thing's going to come with a variety of different colors. And, one thing that I liked about what they've done here is, and let me show you an image from their website, and for those of you that are listening, I'm sure you've seen this, but I'm looking at this, and they got a little kickstand, and that's something that's always drives me crazy. I'll be honest, come back to the iPad. So what do you do with the iPad? You have to roll up you have to roll it up, you bring it behind, and you set it up. And what's always happening, this thing's always slipping for me. And so the iPad's always falling down. So I like the idea of having a mechanical flip stand, for better words. And then I just love it that the cover is also a keypad. Now they've got two different keypads, and I think the one that I'm going to order will be this one. It's more of a tactile feel. So what do they got? It's got one that's kind of a little touchpad, and then they got one where the buttons actually move. And I think it's a little thicker, but who cares? I think this is going to be an awesome product from the folks at Microsoft. And, it's basically OS is smart enough to know when you change your color scheme for your keypad, it changes color scheme on the operating system as well. So you can use a tablet in tablet style. You can use it with a stylus. You can use your finger. You can use a keyboard with a mouse. And you are able to put a mini SD stick in this thing. And it's got a variety of different things where you're going to be able to connect and print and do everything that you do in Windows 8, but at the same time, have all the power of apps that are going to be available in the Windows 8 App Store and be able to do just, that kind of stuff. So I think they've really done a good job here with this. And, this is big for the folks at Microsoft and being able to, come up with something like this. And, I think that some companies should wake up. And again, you don't even have to use the keyboard. It can be just used as a normal tablet. But it's got a little connector there that looks like it connects nicely. And it's got this magnesium design, multicolor. So the gals are going to like it from a color perspective. Guys, too, if you want to pick a different color. I'm kind of a traditional black and white type of guy, so I'll be using the black, probably buying the black keyboard. Sad thing is they didn't tell us how much or when. And, I think from my perspective is I wish they would have said, 3 months, $800 and pre-order now. So, that to me was just, and there's going to be two models. There's going to be an RT and a Pro model. And the difference really between them is processor and the actual screen resolution, and probably the RAM too. So one thing that we haven't heard, if this is going to have a mobile card in it, we haven't heard that yet. We know that the Pro version is going to have a USB 3.0 port. The RT version is only going to have a USB 2.0. There is going to be a mini display port on the Pro version. There's going to be configurable with 64 or 128 gigs of storage on the Pro and 32 and 64 on the Windows RT. So it makes me a little bit concerned from a storage standpoint, because obviously what we're going to be dealing here with is Windows 8. And you're going to want to run certain applications and stuff, and that 128 gigs doesn't give you a lot of storage. It really doesn't. That's going to get ate up real fast. So we'll have to see, how this thing is positioned, and we'll see more videos and demos as time goes on. I'm sure you'll be able to stick an external hard drive on it, but that kind of defeats the purpose of this thing. So I'm just kind of wondering how many of you are going to, consider buying one of these. This is big on Microsoft part. And the folk over at Gizmodo, I think they had some good questions to ask today. They basically said there's 5 Microsoft Surface questions that still need to be answered. Is mobile data built in? What are the specs that matter? Now, they already showed that, so they must have been a little bit on this. How much does it cost? When's it available? And does the keyboard case even work? I think from everything we've seen on the initial reports that a couple of those things have been answered already. And This is sexy for Microsoft. They've done some pretty cool stuff here, and I wonder how their OEMs, the partners, are going to react. But I think this is a big move by them. Looking over at just all the different places, this is all things D is basically saying that there's a lot of unknown details, but their question is what's going to happen with the industry relationships, what is their potential sales point, and so they say that the Surface gives people a range of things to think about, and it sorts of primes the pump for more innovation around Windows 8 and brings technology to the Windows PC platform, which has been severely lacking on a tablet side. But I could see this being an essential travel piece. I could see having this in my bag versus a regular computer because it's got all the software. You're probably going to be able to run Outlook. You're going to be able to run Word. You're going to be able to do Excel. You're going to be able to do the things on the web that you want. You're going to be able to load a couple of browser that you want. You're probably going to do all these cool things that you normally can do with Windows 8. Plus, you're going to have a keyboard. To me, that's really huge. It's thin, it's small, it's light, long battery life. I think it's going to be just as slick going in with one of these into a meeting as it is going into a meeting with an iPad or something similar. So, love to hear you guys' feedback on this one and where you think this is going to get positioned and are you going to buy one? So, drop me an email, geeknews@gmail.com. Love to hear your comments. You know what I'm really more excited about than anything else? Finally, I've got something to cheer about on the Windows side. Everything has been focused for so long. Apple this, Apple that, iPhone this, iOS this, iPad this, Mac Pro this. Finally, something to cheer about. And my doggy, you hear him in the background? He's been going crazy today, and I don't know why he's doing that. And of course, we're all hearing him bark at the same time too. Show. Trying to get my wife to get him to be quiet. Let's see if we can make an adjustment here. Show. Max. See if I can get my wife to tell the dog be quiet. He just won't stop. All right, so let's move on here. And you guys, those of you that were watching, did you see my fancy shorts that I'm wearing? All right, let me move into another topic, and this is a little more serious, and this is bordering on a conversation that all of us should. I'm just going to tell you, we're going to talk about Backpage.com for a second. So this is a topic that is be of some concern, and it is a little bit older of a story, and I kind of want to talk about it. Backpage.com has been accused of being an outlet for people advertising services to adults that are definitely on the fringe, and they have specifically a lot of classified stuff going on that's earning Backpage.com a lot of money, and a lot of people are very upset, and they're trying to protect women from being exploited and so forth. And there's a lawsuit right now that's moving forward. It's a high-profile case, and what's going on is that in Washington, there is some legislation in effect that threatens Section 230 of the Federal Communication Decency Act. And, this is an internet law that really kind of protects the internet to a certain extent. So what I want you to imagine is that if sites like YouTube, Flickr, Wikipedia, Yelp, Facebook, Twitter basically had to screen every single post before it was posted. That would be, pretty much impossible in a normal everyday practice. But there is this possibility that if the Washington state law is allowed to pass, it will destroy user-generated content community, because basically what internet providers or site providers will have to do is to put in a level of filtering that would basically block stuff from being able to be real-time posted online. Now, that's a crazy thing to think about, but it's all associated with, basically Washington State wanting to stop sites like Backpage.com from having advertisements on their site that could result, and probably does result, in exploitation of women, minor children, and, even probably some men. And while at the same time, we do understand that there are consenting adults who are putting stuff online in these sites that, while not legal, is what they do for a profession. So I think we have to think about, there's this trade-off, and you want to be able to protect the innocent, but at the same time, what happens when a law like this gets passed and destroying user-generated content communities? And I don't know what to think about this, really, in all honesty. Do I think it's enforceable? Do you think it's possible for them to tell Twitter and Facebook and everyone else, you shall, basically monitor every post, and you will moderate everything? It's a monumental task that would be nearly impossible to maintain. But the Washington State law is currently stalled in court under a 14-day temporary restraining order set to expire this week. And a judge is considering whether to strike down the law. I guess it passed already. Allow portions of the law into effect, or support the law as it's written. The judge's decision could set the first stages of battles in other states. Tennessee passed its own trafficking law earlier this year, and legislatures in New York and New Jersey considered whether to do the same. So, I guess this is something to think about here. And I don't think any of us like to see, people be exploited. At the same time, I don't think any of us want to see the internet censored to the point where everything is moderated and has to be reviewed before it can be possible. Things would come to a screeching halt. The internet would become ineffective. So from that standpoint, I don't think it's possible for them to do what they're proposing here. But and here's another thing too to look at. If they go and do this, the stuff's just going to go underground. It's not going to change. And we know, and this is basically, now let's understand what Section 230 of the Federal Communication Decency Act is. Internet companies that host third-party content are not held liable if third-party users post indecent materials. In other words, it's not those sites' jobs to police the sites. It's the police's jobs to do so. And, these activists didn't like it. And they did in this bill that they submitted as Washington State Senate Bill 6521, was the one that they were trying to prevent it. So we'll see. But again, Section 230 of the Federal Communication Decency Act is what protects internet sites like Blueberry.com, which is a media site, techpodcast.com, geeknewscentral.com. Obviously we know what's posted at GNC, but we're not monitoring what's being put up at Blueberry.com. If someone sends us an email, says something's inappropriate, we go look and see if it meets our standards. If it does, it's left up. If it's not, it's taken down. But we don't go policing it. That's for sure. So I'd love to hear your feedback, geeknews@gmail.com. All right, imagine you're sitting at your dinner table and the phone rings and you have a robocaller calling you. And it says, "This is such and such company with Prenda Law. With our clients offer to settle being expired now for more than 30 days. It's pretty clear to them that you don't plan to enter into settlement agreement with them, which is fine. This call is to inform you that we are going to start the process of filing a lawsuit against you with your name in it. At first, you will receive time-sensitive documents. We have found that most people do have an attorney review them. If you'd like to get an idea of what the complaints will look like, just go to our website at www such and site.com. We do have some of our recent filings there. If you have questions, give us a call. We can be reached at 305-748-2102, and your reference number is XXXX. So this robocaller is calling people that they're being accused of infringing on people's content in a BitTorrent type lawsuit. So this company called Prenda Law is using robocallers to call people that they have tried to contact and didn't answer to. But it's turning out that some of these robocallers might actually be against the law to be used in certain states, like certain states that don't allow them. So, interesting way to scare the crap out of people is by using a robocaller to call your house at all times, day or night, and tell them you need to call and settle this issue. So we will see where this goes. But if your phone rings, it's a robocaller. They may be calling you to say, pay up. All right, those of you in the European Union, especially those of you that may have wanted to put in a word to the European Parliament, the ACTA treaty is coming down a showdown in 2.5 weeks from today. The vote on the floor of the European Parliament is where the treaty lives or dies, but the next important event takes place as early as this coming Thursday. So there's some good stuff here. I'm going to have it linked up in the show notes. Those of you that listen to the show in Europe, they're part of the European Union. You're going to want to pay attention to this. And this is it. Man your barricades, get your comments out, and you got to fight this thing. So what's going on Thursday is there's a proposed decision to recommend a rejection of the ACTA, but the corporate monopoly interests are fighting harder by the hour to change this into an adoption. So you need to fight. And again, this is going to happen around Thursday. On June 21st at 10 o'clock Brussels times, the council is going to make their decision on whether to move this forward to a final parliament vote. So, they're trying to push for an outright adoption. And so there's some links in this show notes on who you can send emails to, who you can call. So those of you that are listening to the show that are in the European Union, this is your chance to get this ACTA shut down. And you're going to have to get the email and telephone phones are ringing, all right? So just a heads up for you. All right, in the coming months, U.S. internet providers have already said they're going to begin to warn and punish copyright infringers. Now, we know this has slid a little bit. Since the six-strike plan was announced, a lot has been said about the temporary disconnection and throttle connection subscribers may be subjected to. But there's also a scarier outlook for persistent BitTorrent pirates, as the MPAA and RIAA have negotiated the right to demand the details of repeat infringers should they decide to take legal action. So this is new. So basically, what's going to happen here is that they're going to be seeking, and like they said before, they didn't get this initially as part of the Copyright and Center for Copyright Infringement, have made this deal that they are going to potentially, the content owners' representatives and any other member of the participating content owners may use such reports or data as the basis for seeking a subscriber's identity. And how they're going to do that is the ISPs have agreed to share progress reports. And these reports are going to include statistics, including number of warnings sent out, by how many frequent offenders there are, nothing out of the ordinary. But they're going to be, basically saying now we want these people's names too. This is ridiculous. The potential legal actions is cited again in the agreement when it discusses what happens after a user receives their sixth warning. Says the participating ISP will, however, continue to track and report the number of ISP notices of the participating ISP receives from that subscriber's account, so that information is available to the content owner representative if it elects to initiate a copyright infringement action against a subscriber. So basically, they're just, this deal they made here with the internet service providers is basically going to open up the door for them getting an easy way to get your information if you're doing peer-to-peer. So we'll keep you abreast of this as things move forward, but this is coming down the pike still here in a big hurry. Hey, over on the Mozilla blog, switching gears here, they have got up a, it's called Thimbo. And it's basically a site where you can basically making a website has become much easier. And it's the Mozilla WebMaker app. And Thimble's a new tool that makes it incredibly simple for anyone to create and share their own web pages and other projects in minutes. Thimble is web making made easy, has an intuitive visual editor that lets you write and edit HTML right in your browser, preview and correct your work, and then publish and share fully functional web page with a single click. Thimble removes many of the barriers for novice users trying to learn code, including a series of starter projects. So, don't know exactly where this is going to reside, but if you go over to the website, let me actually load this up here. Webmaker.com is the actual, let me see if I can find the link here. Let me actually bring this up. So the actual website is here, and it's going to make it easy for you to set up and get going. So this is kind of a cool new project by the folks at Mozilla, and they're starting to do some weekend projects where people are going to be contributing code, and they're going to have 330 summer code party events by community members from around the world. So this might be a cool way for you to get up to speed and start learning how to put together web pages and actually building projects for it as well. They've got a real nice interface on their, at least on their website initially. So you definitely want to check that out. I have the link up in the show notes for you to check this out. Okay. All right. Moving on here to an article on arstechnica.com. This should have all of us a little bit concerned. We've talked about the tracking that's going on in the web. So what they're finding is that online behavioral tracking is up 400% across prominent websites. The Wall Street Journal reported an increase on Sunday in advance of a study set to be released on Tuesday. The average visits to a website triggered 56 instances of data collection up from 10 instances when they did this initial study in 2010. So over 2 years, they went from 10 instances to 56 instances of tracking you. That's pretty, if you think about that, they're watching everything. And you just wonder, what can they really be doing on every page that you load to trigger on 56 different things that they're watching you do? It's got to be, it's a little bit unnerving, and I've been playing around with some tools that let me see what's being queried, the cookies and everything else. And it's gotten pretty persuasive. And you go to different websites and all of a sudden you see the link is made, back, they know that, okay, you're on the Wall Street Journal, and 25 minutes later you're on a different page, and boom, it's all of a sudden it sends calls home to mama at the Wall Street Journal or whatever site you may be on. So it's all about ad targeting and building information about you on the internet. Someone in the chat says, when does it stop? I've touchpad, a Nook, an Android phone, a Zune. Can't justify another purchase. And I think, and this is going back to the Microsoft Surface discussion. I agree. And something going to have to be pretty compelling in order for me to buy something that I permanently use. I've got my Chromebook, and where does it set? It sets in my bedroom. I use the Chromebook at night, or I use my iPad. Sometimes it ends up here in the office with me. So different technologies are being used in different locations at different times. And but I agree, we all have too many gadgets. My kids are spoiled because, my Kindle Fire was sitting here on the desk this morning. Of course, the kids are out of school for summer break, and the Kindle Fire is missing this afternoon. And I'm sure it's in one of the kids' bedrooms. So I go in and find it here in a little while and put it on the charger, or they'll bring it in and put it on the charger. But yeah, it's just, it's definitely we're a gadget society. I had to laugh about this one here. How many of you are stuck at a business that is still using Internet Explorer version 7? Well, IE7, let's be honest. It sucks. It's old. And developers have to spend a lot of time making sure their websites are capable of being able to display stuff on it correctly and so forth. So what's happened is there's a website now that retailer called Kogan, Kogan. I have no idea what they sell. But when you load up their page, it says it appears that you or your system administrator has been in a coma for over 5 years, and you are still using IE7. To help make the internet a better place, you'll be charged a 6.8% tax on your purchase from Kogan.com. This is necessary due to the amount of time required to make web pages appear correctly in IE7. Avoid a tax. Use a better browser. They got a link there to Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Opera. So I don't know if this is a joke, but I guess Kogan is let me load this up. Are they an Australian website? What is Kogan.com? Oh, yeah, and they really still, this is the real deal, folks. Let me bring up their website here. And they're an Australian company, and they sell TVs, home appliances, cameras, tablets, audio phones. But if you have an IE7 and you come to it, what they're going to show you on their page, and let me bring this up here, is this basically a big warning label. And so it basically puts a big pop-up on the page, and I guess they're really doing this. You tell your boss, we can't order from this site. They're going to charge us. They're going to penalize us for using IE7. And maybe you should change your browser in the company's lineup. So kind of funny here what they've done. All right, I'm finding all kinds of cool stuff on Kickstarter projects, so much so that I could actually go broke putting in for these. And some of these Kickstarter stuff is fantastic. We had a good one on the last show. The folks over at Gizmo is linking to a new one. It's called the Kick. It's a full spectrum camera light that you can control with your iPhone. And when you see the video on this, you're gonna be like, if you have any, if you're doing any photography with your smartphone, you're gonna be like, I want one of these. And wait till you see the cool stuff that they've been able to do with this. I'm not kidding. Watch the video. If nothing else, this is the video I want you to watch during tonight's show. And when you see what they've been able to do in some of the effects and some of the cool stuff that they've been able to do, you're going to be like, oh, let me go over and donate to this. And they're almost already funded. So bravo for Gizmo finding this one. Another cool Kickstarter product called The Kick. And they've already raised 86 grand, 535 backers, 29 days to go. They got 115,000 as their total goal. I have no doubt that they'll make it. All right, it's been about a week, right? Or not a week. Yeah, I guess it's been about a week since the WWDC announcement of the new MacBooks. And MG Siegler was given a MacBook Pro with a Retina display to use for a week, a review unit. And I kind of knew that the display would be fantastic and the machine would be nice. But I really was set back just a little bit when I read a part of his review. And I want to go in and talk about this a little bit. And I'm going to read right from his blog post. And this is about 3/4 of the way down. Of course, he's over at TechCrunch.com. He says, well, everything natively included in the slightly updated, and like the iPhone, the actual screen itself has been brought closer to the glass. Everything looks like a beautiful glossy photograph. Well, everything natively included in the slightly updated version of OS X, that is. He says the biggest downside of the entire device, in my mind, is just how bad it makes most of the web and quite a few native OS X apps look. While this version of OS X line does upscale text and some graphics to be Retina ready, much of the web is not. Take Facebook, for example. The text is fine, but all the images, including the local, are extremely blurry. Google, same problem. And that's the picture. If you're using the version of Safari bundled with the Retina MacBook Pro, if you try to use Chrome, you may vomit. Everything is rendered poorly, text included. Luckily, Google is moving fast to correct this. A Retina-ready version of Chrome is ready in the Canary early beta build. So, what are you going to end up with a Retina? See, this is what I was extremely worried about what websites would look like in the iPad, the new iPad, And that was exactly the very first thing I did when I opened up the new iPad and got it loaded. I immediately loaded my site because I wanted to see what it looked like. And I was generally impressed. Everything looked decent, and I felt that I dodged a bullet. But I'm loading it now, and I'm gonna look at this again. Yeah, everything looks clear. My text looks clear, and my fonts look good. Even when I zoom in, everything's decent. Nothing gets blurry until I really zoom in, but everything looks fine from a text perspective. But yet, with the Retina display on the MacBook Pro, you've got such a bigger screen to deal with. I can understand exactly what he's talking about. And so, I sent an email off to Brian. I say, hey, Brian, we need to think about where this is headed. And we're going to start watching the weblogs, because the weblogs will tell us when Retina displays are hitting our websites, because it tells you the screen resolutions people are using. And we'll keep an eye on it from that standpoint. And I'm sure we've got maybe a year here to kind of think about, get prepped and changed over. But the sites that are high traffic have got to update immediately. Now, I'm not going to discuss anything more about the MacBook Pro Retina in this show, just because we know what it is and the monkey's on everyone's back on having to spend that kind of money. But I'm wondering how most people's experience is going to be with this new laptop coming to sites like Geek News Central and a variety of other sites. So, if any of you out there have purchased one and get one, I really want to hear from you. Send me some. Hate to tell you to send me some screenshots, but maybe that's what's going to be required. But I'm genuinely concerned, and my personal site and all of our other properties as well. Facebook's going to have to pay $10 million settlement. This is an article over at GNC that was written by Jen, one of our writers at Geek News Central. And, of course, she's doing a great job, along with the rest of the writers. And then you guys, hey, make sure you come over to the website every day. We've got new content up there for you. But 5 Facebook members filed a class action lawsuit in federal court in San Jose, California. They said that Facebook violated California law by publicizing when a user clicks like on the pages of certain advertisers and putting the information into its sponsored stories feature. Facebook did not give users a way to opt out of having those likes included in advertisements in this way. So in other words, you like something, it all of a sudden ended up on your friend's page saying, hey, your friend Joe liked that page. So Facebook is going to pay $10 million to a charity, and doesn't say if they're going to stop doing this, but they did lose the lawsuit on this one, or maybe just Facebook just settled. All right, do you do fishing? I'm not a fishing. I don't fish. I used to. Once in a while we do it here, but it's not something that we go sit out the dock or go on a boat with. But some of you are probably huge. You like to go dock fishing or hanging out on a pier somewhere. Well, there's a new device. It's called Deeper. It's basically, this is the device that's going to give you a sonar look. It's what's going on, where you're fishing. You drop this thing, you basically hook a tether line to it, you throw it in the water, and it tells you where the fishes be, just like you would have on your boat. And the graphic that they show is that's really the dealio. You'll know where the fish are at in relation to your little probe. This thing is no bigger than a baseball. And, of course, this is another Kickstarter project. And they've got, they hope to raise $49,000 by the end of Thursday, July 12th. At this point, they've raised $15,000. So if you are if you like fishing, and you want to know if the fishies are there where you're fishing, go contribute to the Kickstarter project from the folks at Deeper. All right, the Nokia CEO has gotten a security contingent. Last week, Nokia announced 10,000 workers worldwide. They're going to be laid off. And I guess the CEO feels the heat, and he has actually got security now for the first time in the company's history to potentially protect him from a disgruntled employee. So you can tell that there are some people not very happy with this guy if they've had to hire a security firm. Hey, Facebook.com acquired Face.com, and they approximately $80 million they spent. So they're spending some cash or spending some of that IPO money. And so this buying spree included Face.com. It's an Israeli-based startup. And basically, Zuck scooped this baby up, and I'm sure it's going to go into a better face recognition on the website and being able to, auto tag people and so forth. All right, I'm always looking for more speed, especially when I travel. But Sprint's early 4G LTE network, its LTE network, has been tested in controlled conditions. Sprint doesn't have a lot of its true 4G LTE up yet. They hope to have a large percentage of it up by basically a little later this year. But they were in Atlanta, and PC Mag was able to test the service. Average speeds on the downlink sit squarely in between AT&T and Verizon at 9 to 13 megs, despite Sprint having to use the 5 megahertz channel, half as large as what AT&T can muster in some cities. And they don't think you're going to be able to do super big videos, but there is a 2.2 meg average upload rate. That's certainly faster than WiMAX or T-Mobile's HPS Pay Plus network. But this doesn't hold a candle to some of their competitors out there. So this is good. So Sprint is moving on up, and so we're probably a year or two away from complete rollout of their 4G LTE network. But at least initial runs have been done, and some initial releases. So if you live in the Atlanta area, you're going to get turned on first. All right, I don't follow stocks very much, but Oracle has essentially had a huge quarter. They're buying back $10 billion worth of their shares. They beat the street's earnings by about 4 cents. So their stock is up. So if you've recently got into buying any stock and you bought Oracle, congratulations. I should have covered this with this previous Sprint article, but if you are a Nextel customer, Sprint wants its Nextel customers to move to its CDMA network so it can hasten the retirement of its old IDN system. And basically, they're coaxing customers over to Sprint is offering them 3 times the coverage they currently get with their Nextel phones. Sprint said today it has expanded its CDMA-powered Direct Connect push-to-talk service to its entire 2G footprint. That's essentially the entire United States. And they got a year to move. And if they don't, they're shutting it off. So if you're still a Nextel customer, you got to make that switch over. You've got a year to do so. If you don't, they're telling you to go find a new home. So they're going to reuse those towers and that frequency for the 4G LTE rollout. All right, the U.S. government is still demanding folks' information. The folks over at Wired has a report about the number of requests by the U.S. government to Google for your information. And we don't know the full story on this, but essentially what's going on is that government agencies across the United States sought users' data from Google 321 times for the past 6 months. For the 6 months ending December 2011, up from 5,950 the 6 months prior, according to a new Google report. So that just goes to show you that they're reaching out and getting. That's a lot of. You think about that, 6,000 requests for individuals' information. Another article over on Wired I thought was kind of funny. Just made me laugh. The NSA, they don't say anything about what they do, right? But here's the headline. It says it all. I'm not even going to go into the topic, but here's the headline. It would violate your privacy to say we spied on you. So the NSA says it would violate your privacy to say if we spied on you. In other words, we're not telling you who we've done anything with. It's not happening. We're not sharing the information. Oh, man. And, of course, they are well protected by many new laws. And, of course, the 2008 expansion of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, I'm sure that probably increased the people that are being, if you're calling international, you're probably being recorded, I would think. But anyway, that link will be up in the show notes. Kind of funny. So NASA and FAA is teaming to streamline and regulate commercial space access. The FAA and NASA said today they signed an agreement to coordinate standards for commercial space travel. So in other words, they're going to tell you whether or not you can go into space. Government and non-government astronauts to and from low Earth orbit and to the International Space Station. The main goal of the agreements are to establish a framework for the emerging commercial U.S. space industry to help streamline requirements and multiple sets of standards, and ultimately to regulate public and crew safety. In other words, they're going to make sure you get the physical, you're not too fat, you get an EKG. They don't want anybody dying on the way and on the way back from space. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. We're all getting fatter. The whole world is getting fatter. There's a global epidemic of diabetes and people that are gaining weight. Here in the United States, there's just huge numbers. I'm one of those guys that are overweight and working on losing weight. But they did this study, and we were able to come up with a global weight. And so they say, in the report, the researchers from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine calculate the weight of the global population at 287 million tons. They estimate that 15 million tons of the mass is due to people being overweight and 3.5 million tons due to obesity. So they talk about average weights of different countries and so forth. Obviously, Asia is still leading the pack. But one thing, here are the countries that are the fattest and those that are the lightest. United States number 1, Russian Federation is number 2, Egypt, Mexico, Germany, Brazil, UK, Argentina, Turkey, and Iran make the top 10. But the bottom 10, Brunei, Sri Lanka, Guyana, the Gambia, Central African Republic, Cambodia, East Timor, Bhutan, Sao Tome and Principe, and Eritrea. So obviously a lot of African countries there that are having famines and abject poverty. We're on the bottom of the scale. And of course, people that are on the upper end of the economic scale were the fattest. It shouldn't be a surprise. But with 4,629,000,000 people on the planet, 111 million of us are overweight. 23 million of us are obese. All right, switching gears here. Verizon. Man, Verizon Fios Quantum, 300 megs up and down. 300 megs down and 65 megs up. Only $210 per month. And, I'm getting 50 megs down here and 6 megs up, and I'm paying $105 a month. I'd gladly pay $210 a month for that speed. Come on, Verizon. Come to Honolulu. Cheaper packages are $75.35 for $90 a month. That's pretty close to being equal what I pay here. So anyway, if you're in the Fios area, enjoy this need for speed. All right, my wife and I have been one thing that my wife and I have been looking at is the potential of going to a prepaid phone versus going to one of the new Verizon data plans. We've been looking at the pricing of everything, and we basically have both come to the conclusion that it's going to cost us a lot less just to buy a phone outright instead of actually, signing up for a 2-year plan with Verizon. Now, the plan I'm on with T-Mobile, I currently don't get a free phone every 2 years. We're on a cheaper, outdated plan. So we're thinking about just getting her a iPhone 4S available, so I think starting on June 22nd from Cricket, and have her on a prepaid plan. And it's going to be a lot cheaper than we'll just get the kids' basic phone plan. So if you're thinking about doing a upgrade, definitely consider making that switch to Verizon. So, or not Verizon, but to a prepaid plan instead of making that switch to the new Verizon plan. A couple of things I just want to quick share with you tonight, especially on the at the end of the near show here. Adobe and Mozilla is unable to fix a flash video crash problem with that's going on right now. So if you got a Windows 7 machine and a new version of Adobe loaded, you basically Flash is not working with the recent edition of Firefox. So you may be running into issues. So definitely keep that in mind as you are trying to view stuff on the web. You may end up with a surprise that this stuff doesn't work. Okay, last couple of things here. The Chinese were able to do a docking. They launched safely and made orbit, and then did a docking with their three-person orbital spacecraft with the Tiangong-1 space station. They're going to stay in orbit about 20 days. First woman in space for the Chinese. So third country to be able to do this. So congratulations to them. A former AT&T exec is admitted to leaking iPhone info to investors. He basically pled guilty and is dealing with what's possibly going to come down from a sentence. But, he's basically been sharing information with Goldman Sachs. And I'm sure some people over there made a lot of money on, luckily, well, not luckily, but made money because of his insider information. So I'm sure fines and jail sentences are going to be dished out over this over the next the coming months. Just goes to show you the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And I'm sure there's a lot more of this insider trading going on than what we may know, what we think may know. All right, looks like that the Mars Odyssey spacecraft has went into a basically recovery mode. It's had some problems, and basically the Mars Odyssey spacecraft used 3 spinning reaction wheels to control its orientation in space. On June 8th, one of those reaction wheels jammed temporarily and sent the orbit into a safe mode. So they basically are using one of the spare reaction wheels, and they're getting ready to get the spacecraft up and running again. Obviously, we're going to need that spacecraft up and running with this forthcoming Mars landing. Of course, Odyssey is being used to relay a lot of information back to Earth. Just can't get as much data through without it, so hopefully they'll be able to recover the spacecraft. Hey, the sun's been pretty busy and pumping out solar flares like crazy. They've had a couple of coronal mass ejections over the last couple of days. And so it's been whack-a-mole at us. Some of them pointed directly at us. So we took a face shot per se. So I have some link up in the show notes on those. You can definitely check them out. Final article of the night tonight is there's a great picture over on Universe Today. And let's see if I can bring this up for you here. And let me bring that. Copy this over here. Paste and go. And we'll bring up net 1. There we go. And this is looking at the North Pole down. And this is a nice picture. And they've been able to, they basically did this over 18 passes. And this is the latest picture from NASA. So we want to thank them for being able to continue to put out this good stuff. All right, got some emails here to go into, and first one is from Tim. He says, "Hey Todd, this is one for you. Thought you'd probably know the science behind it already, but why food on airlines suck?" That's a good one to read. Thanks for that, Tim. Got an email here from Tim as well. Say, "Hey Todd, I want to share something cool tech I saw at Disneyland, specific Disney California Adventure Park. I was there helping to cover the rededication of the park, as well as the opening of a Carlsbad in Buena Vista Street for the podcast I co-host and blog, when I was made aware of a special set of Mickey ears. Now, as you may know, when you're at Disneyland or Disney World, guests like to wear a special hat that resembles mouse ears, and they're readily available to purchase in nearly all the shops. They come in all sorts of designs, from the plain black ears to the safari hat Mickey ears. The hat I am speaking of had an RFD tag placed inside, and a hat that makes the ears glow on cue to certain colors. Disney is world famous for their performance and shows. This is absolutely none more so than the variety of nighttime spectaculars. So he says, when you're watching one of those shows, such as World of Color, as the water changes in certain colors, so do your ears to match the show. So the show changes into one huge color, so does the thousands of ears out in the viewing section of the show, bringing the show directly 360 degrees in your vicinity. Anyway, as a Disney fan who's still trying to get to see how awesome, so getting you to see how awesome Disney is. Well, I think Disney's awesome in the mainland. Just don't talk to me about Oalani here in Hawaii. I thought I would share this new technology. RFD is not necessarily a new thing, but having this technology implemented in this way, particularly in theme parks, is certainly different. Disney has long been a leader in the industry for advances in entertainment. Can't wait to see where these go from here. Big Mouse is definitely watching over us here and telling us what color our ears can be and when. LOL. Yeah, Tim, I love Disneyland. Who doesn't? Disneyland, Disney World, Epcot Center, everything. But Ulani in Hawaii, 2 thumbs down. Got an email here from Kenneth. He says, "Hey, very informative. I learned all about your show. Thanks, Kenneth, for being a listener here, being part of the Ohana. We Thank you for being part of the family. Um, okay, MS Small Biz got it right. He said there was a new tablet coming, and he basically guessed it. He sent me an email on that, so congratulations on that. All right, last email of the show. Everyone else, that's it for today. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the family. Thanks for being tuned in. Everyone, take care. We'll see you next go around. And don't forget our sponsors. Until next time, take care and aloha.